Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to the Circadian Rhythm Killer Tour. Now, you may recall our last flight was one heck of a doozy. It was more than 20 hours of flying time as we made our way over to Rio de Janeiro. And today, excuse me, there's a hiccup to start your day out. Today we're going to be hopping on a British Airways 777. We're going to be going from SBGL, which of course is Rio de Janeiro. We're going to go back over to our beloved London. That's right, I said our beloved London because I know there's a lot of you that are from that area, or at least from England, and I sure do appreciate you guys. And as such, London has become a beloved place to me. Although it'd be great if we had a better add-on airport for it than the two options that are available and look to kill your frame rates, right? So anyway, there you have it. That's the basic flight for the day, and we got a lot of work to do, so I say we hop on the flight deck, take a look at the basics of the flight plan, and get started. Alrighty folks, so welcome aboard British Airways Flight 2104. I'm actually re-recording this section because there was something that was just an absolute mess, and so I decided to redo it here. Let's take a quick look at our flight plan and then dive right in because we need to get this show going. Alright, we are flying from SBGL to EGLL. We've got a total air distance of 5,477 nautical miles. You can see that right there. Our trip fuel is scheduled for 175,791 pounds with final reserve fuel of 6,017 pounds. Our block fuel is 201,251 pounds. I put a little extra in there. I put us up to 205,000, and you'll see why here in a few minutes. This is our route for the day. It's going to be the PUMSO 1A departure out to Tisva. And we're scheduled for 11 hours and 5 minutes, but our estimated time is 11 hours and 50 minutes. I think it's going to take longer, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. We have 336 souls on board today, 2,100 pounds of cargo, and our payload, our total payload is 79,400 pounds. Zero fuel weight set for 423,600 pounds. Again, a little extra fuel is going to put our takeoff weight about 628,500 pounds. And our landing weight is probably going to be a little lower than this, actually. We'll see as we get a little closer. The reason for that has to do with the weather, and that's what I want to show you real quick. We don't always go over this. In fact, we haven't really ever gone over this, but we're going to today. Now, you may have noticed at the top of the operational flight plan here, it shows us stepping up to flight level 340, but in actuality, we should be flying an odd altitude for the route that we're taking, so I'm not really sure why these two altitudes are set at evens. But taking a look down here, we're probably going to get up to about 390, which is going to be this chart here. And when we look at our wind here, we can see we're looking at headwinds pretty much the entire flight. Now I know that this is 390, but just real quick, like for example right here, this is a 50 knot near headwind. It does turn to a crosswind here. You can just make it out. It's unfortunate that I can't zoom this chart in. 35 knots here, 25 knots here, and so on. That's at 390. Come down a little bit to 340, and you see it's relatively similar. But either way, it's pretty much a headwind all the way up, and that's what we're going to be looking at. Because we're going to be looking at a headwind for the bulk of the flight, I've gone ahead and added some extra fuel, and hopefully that'll help us out. Now you can also see from this chart here the basics of our route here, going over the western part of Africa, on over Europe, and so on into England there. So we do have, once we get across here, we've got plenty of places we can go if for some reason we have an issue with fuel, but I think in the end we're probably going to be alright. What else we got here? That's really just the operational flight plan, so let's go ahead and throw this back over here. Now I did want to mention, and I'm going to put this up for a vote. Originally I was going to do it based off likes on this video, but that'll just take too long because this video is not going to be released for a little while. So, but I am going to say this. There should have been a vote that came out that asked you a simple question. If I'm flying a carrier that doesn't fly out of the United States, so let me preload that. Every carrier in the world except the US, every country in the world except the US as far as I know, uses the metric system, and for some reason we like to be different here and use the imperial system, which is kind of stupid actually. But I'm so used to it because I'm over 40 years old and that's what I've used my entire life. I do struggle with the metric system. However, if we're flying a carrier such as British Airways or KLM, or say we're flying Ryanair or something like that, they fly using the metric system. Do you want me to use the metric system when I'm flying a carrier that is not a US based carrier? If you guys want me to do that, then that's what we'll do. That's the question that's going to be presented in a vote here pretty soon. Right now the vote has to do with the first flight for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, but I'm going to make it a point to put that vote up, and so depending on how that vote goes within a few videos of this one, hopefully you will see a change if a change is warranted. Alright, enough about that. What do you say we dive into our pre-flight checklist here? I've already popped it up there. I started popping up checklists again because, I don't know, I just think it makes more sense. So, block fuel is loaded and verified. Payload is loading and is verified. Parking brake is set. That's this guy down here. Up top here, primary flight computer is guarded and closed. Thrust asymmetry compensation is on auto. That's this guy here. APU gen switch is on. IFE and passenger seats are on. Cabin utility is on. Left and right bus tie switches are set to auto. Primary ground power is on. It's not on the checklist. I'm just verifying that it is on. Left and right generator control switches are on. These two down here. Backup generator switches are on. APU selector is off at the moment. Nav light should be on, which it is down here. Logo light is as needed. It is going to be getting dark quickly. It's this flight was scheduled to depart pretty late in the evening, but I don't like to start flights for videos at night very often because it just, I think it takes away from you guys. But you let me know about that in the comments as well. Do you like the videos that start at night, especially longer flights, or do you really care? Okay, cockpit lights. You can see that the backlighting is already on. We don't need dome lights yet, so we're going to leave it as is. Let's get the no smoking. Actually, no smoking stays on. Seatbelt signs on. Auto there. Emergency exit lights need to be armed and closed. Left and right pack control switches need to be on auto. Remember, this is just our pre-flight. The Aorous needs to go on, and then we need to take care of FMC initialization. Now, I do want to make a note here really quick. You may recall as we were getting ready to depart WMKK, which right now for some reason I can't remember what airport that was. That was Kuala Lumpur. As we were getting ready to depart, and as we arrived actually, we didn't have departures and arrivals. We didn't have SIDS and stars in there. And I looked it up, and it's the airport.dat file. I removed it from the folder, restarted, and then we had them for that airport. Of course, I had to do that after the flight. You can't do it while the sim's up and running. So all of that should be fixed now. Go to our FMC. It's the 777-200. We have updated AIRAC cycle. It's going to expire here in about another week. Position initialization, we are at SBGL, right? Yep, SBGL. So we'll type that in there real quick. There we go. I know we need to enter the inertial position. We're getting to it. This thing's just so pushy, right? Let's grab our GPS position. It's 2248, 4315, and 2248, 4315. Looks good. There we go. And we'll go to our route page here, and let's request the route. I did put it in the proper folder this time. There we go. Request it, and we'll give it a minute here to load in. Alright, there we go. We can go ahead and load the route. Takes just a second. Well, it takes a little more than a second, but clear the message off just because it drives me nuts. It is going to be runway 28, I said, right? Yep. So let's put 28 in there. Or not. There we go, 28. Flight number is British Airways. Flight 24 or 2104, sorry. 2104. Put that in there as well. Activate, execute, and go to performance initialization, and look at that, the uplink just came in. So we can go ahead and accept that. These are based off the numbers that I put in there. So again, I added a little extra fuel. We're at 205,000 pounds. Cost index is going to be 100 for us on this flight. And actually, I'm going to change the cost index because I think I did the flight plan at 85. No. Actually, the cost index on the flight plan is 170. So actually, we may do a little better on fuel than expected. Wind data uplink is ready. If you go to your legs, route data, there's your the wind will be over here. Just click load, and then all of those highlight. You execute it, and now it's going to tell us descent forecast is ready. Go to VNav, go to page 3, forecast. We're going to do two things here. One, we're going to load the wind. All right, and that'll load in here in a second. Then I'm just going to double check. But transition altitude should be 7,000 feet. It is indeed. So we're going to go ahead and set that while we're at it. So put 7,000 in there. And that takes care of that. And then we can go to our takeoff page. And we are going to be pretty heavy. So we're going to go ahead and do the flaps 15 departure. We also don't have a super long runway. Well, what am I talking about? We got 13,000 feet of runway. That's plenty. But flaps 15 should work out nicely for us. Let's grab that center of gravity. And 3.75 on the trim, 148, 154, and 162. And that takes care of setting up the FMC. Alright, pressing on here with our cockpit preparation. We'll jump up top really quick. We need to make sure that the window heat is on. That's these four here. Now remember that this is a flow, and somebody did mention this in one of the comments. This entire aircraft is really built around the flow concept, and pretty much all modern aircraft are. And that's why there are items that are not on the digital checklist or the electronic checklist in the aircraft, but that you may have on a procedures checklist or something like that. So anyway, primary left and right engine hydraulic pump switches are on. That's these two here, and then the rest of these are all going to be off. Passenger signs are on. Lights are good right now. We don't need to do anything else with the lights down here. The seatbelt signs are on. EEC mode switches are normal. Start switches are normal. Auto start is in the on position. With your fuel jettison, don't mess with it unless you're actually going to jettison fuel. Auto start switch is on. I think I already mentioned that. Fuel pumps are all going to remain off for the moment because the APU is not running. Notice that the pressure light is on the auxiliary switch here. Let me show you why. We do have fuel in the auxiliary tanks. Actually, we don't have fuel in the auxiliary tanks. I don't know why I said we do. But we do have auxiliary tanks on the aircraft. We put them on there just like for the flight down here. I wasn't sure if I was going to need them or not. I didn't look at the fuel first, so we just left them on there, and that's fine as well. We'll put that on the engine page for now, and let's continue with the checklist here. Wing and engine anti-ice is in the auto position. We'll leave all those there. Nav and logo lights, we've got those on right now because it's starting to get a little dark, so we'll just have that logo light on. Jumping back up over top, equipment, cooling, Gasper switch both on. Upper and lower recirc fans are on. Flight deck temp and cabin temp are both auto or in the 12 o'clock position. Left and right packs are both on. Trim air is on. Isolation valves are all auto. Left and right engine bleeds are on, and the APU bleed is in the auto position. On the pressurization panel, forward and aft both in auto, and we'll leave this guy at 12 o'clock. We don't need to mess with either of those. And we leave the wiper blade in the off position. We've already obtained the ATIS. Let me go ahead and just grab that for you real quick over here. So we are looking at, I have to refresh it just to be sure. Let's see, wind is 230 at 10 knots right now. And visibility is about 9,000 feet. That's what it looks like anyway. Scattered clouds at 1,700, broken at 3,000. Temperature 23, dew point 19. And QNH is 1019. I don't think that the visibility is going to match up with what we're going to see outside the aircraft. But we'll see when the time comes. The FMC programming is complete. We can go ahead and set up the MCP now. Both the flight directors need to come on. Auto throttle is already on. V2 is 162, so 162 plus 5 is going to be 167. Put that on there, and our runway heading. Excuse me. Our runway heading, let me just check that. It's going to be 277. So we'll set that on here as well. Goodness. Come on down. Oh, that's a little too far. Come on. There we go, 277. And then there are no altitude restrictions that I can see on the departure chart. So we're going to go ahead and put this, our initial altitude. So actually I didn't pay attention on the performance page. On performance, it's got us at 330 starting out. So that's what we'll put in there. And here's something else we didn't do. We didn't do our departure and our arrival, did we? So it's just got us coming straight off the runway there. So let's go ahead, and it's runway 28. And it is the Hunso 1A, so that's going to be this one here, and we're going to transition at TISVA. It does delete the takeoff speeds, that's okay. Clear that message off real quick, and you can see that changes it up, and you'll see when we do the departure briefing that that's appropriate. Go back over to route and then takeoff page, and then so it's 148, 154, still 162, same takeoff speeds. I'm not sure why it deletes them when you do that, but I forgot to do it, so there you go. So we can go straight up to flight level 330. Put that in there. There we go. And what else we got? We can arm the LNAV and the VNAV if we like, and I like. Let's see. So flight instruments are set. Auto brake needs to go to RTO. Give that a left click, and you're good to go. We need to take care of the TCAS down here. It's going to be 2336. And let's go ahead and test it. And that is going to take us up to our taxi and takeoff briefing.
TCAS.
There we go.
Pass.
Just waiting for it to finish. Okay. Alrighty, so our ATIS is on 127.6 and clearance on 121.0, ground on 21.65, apron control depending on the frequency we're given, and same thing for tower. Now we are located right over here, and when we push back we will face to the northwest here, and we're going to taxi out via Lima 1 onto Mike, and we'll take Mike all the way down well, somewhere in here. We'll probably transition over on like Tango here, cross over to November taxiway, and we'll take that down to hold short of runway 28 at November. Now, taking a look at the departure here, as you can see, this is why it was important that we had that in there, because initially it just had us swinging around like this, and we don't want that, right? So on our departure here, this is our runway. We're going right after we take off. In fact, let's, after takeoff, turn right to course 329 to EDMAD, and then turn left direct to AFS NDB. And it doesn't really, I looked at this a little bit earlier, so it doesn't give us like oh, come on, brain function. It's not giving us an altitude to turn. It's just like pretty much immediately. So once we got positive rate and gear up, we'll start this turn towards EDMAD, and then once we cross EDMAD, it's a pretty much a 180 or just about a 180 to the NDB out here, and then it's a left turn to 126 to Utnop, at or above 7,000 there, shouldn't be a problem for us. Slight left to 108 degrees out to Pumso, and then another left for us there to 085 degrees out to Tisva, and then on course from there, and that takes care of your taxi and departure briefing. Alrighty, we're getting ready to push back here. First thing we need to do is jump up top and start that APU. So give it a right click twice there. That'll get the APU spinning up. We can double check that on the status page. As you can see, it's doing nothing at the moment. Doors got to open up. Well, I'm coughing in your face a lot this morning. Alright, let me take a drink here. Oh yeah, that's better. Alright, give it just a few more seconds here. There it is. The APU is starting to spin up, and we can go ahead and press on with our before start checklist here. Cabin and cargo doors, closed, locked, and armed. If we go to the doors page, we can see everything is closed up, locked, and armed. External power, we'll disconnect that here shortly. And jumping up top, the right electric demand hydraulic pump selector needs to go to auto. So that's this guy right here. And then the primary C1 and C2 electric hydraulic pump switches, that's the two in the middle, need to go on. Then it's the left demand, and then it's the C1 and the C2 air demand. Left and right fuel pump switches all need to come on. You notice the pressure light had gone out on that one there, and the reason the pressure light went out is because the APU was up and running. Now why is it giving me the pressure indicators on those when I know that we have fuel in the center tanks? So let's double check. Yeah, we've got 67,000 pounds in there. Now I have noticed that the way this is all set up, you know what, I think it has to do with starting the engines. I think, and I'll have to go back and read the manual. I haven't read the manual in this aircraft in a while. Well, the pressure lights went out, so we'll leave it on. But I do know that the way that the fuel appears on here has to do with we're talking about the cross feeds and stuff. The way that's set up right now has to do with starting the engines. And you'll see, if I remember, we'll take a look at it once the engines are started, and you'll see that all of this connects up the way it's supposed to. So it's all automatic. The APU is running at this point, so let's go ahead and disconnect the ground power here, and then just double check the parking brakes are set so we can remove the chocks. And let's go ahead and request the pushback. There we go. And let's carry on with our before start checklist here. The seatbelt signs are on. The beacon light is not on. We'll turn that on real quick. There we go. Beacon light coming on, and then recall switch needs to be pushed. There we go. And now all we're doing is waiting on the ground crew. You know what we didn't do when we set up the MCP though? We didn't set up the QNH. What did we say it was? 1019, right? Yep, 1019. So let's switch both these. There we go, and then it's 1019. That's 6, 7, 8, and 9, and that should sync all of them up. Oh, excuse me, I got the hiccups. I'm coughing. Boy, I'm just a mess this morning. Okay, 1019. You can see it is definitely getting darker out now, as I mentioned. So we started, I think, 3 hours before our flight was actually scheduled to depart. That pressure light has to do with what I was talking about with the fuel. See that? There's no connection right now. And in fact, I think you can turn them both off for the engine start. And we want to use the auto-saved quick edit pushback.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
Parking brakes released.
Push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Okay, so for the engine start, it starts with engine number 1. You click the start switch over to the left side, and then as soon as we see N2 coming up down here, we'll go ahead and introduce fuel, which is pretty straightforward. This is not the best view for it because it's so far up here, but left click it, auto start is on. We see the N2 starting to come up. We can go ahead and we can move the fuel control to run, and the engine will start. If we look down here, one of the things we can check, let's go to menu FMC. If you look at our progress page, so it's saying right now we're going to have 32,100 pounds of fuel. I have a hard time trusting the fuel, I always have. Even in the real world, I usually take a little more fuel than I need, so I don't suppose there's any reason that should be different in the simulator, right? So we're just waiting on engine number 1 to start here. I love the sound of those engines spinning up. Sorry, I clicked off for just a second. You hear the little click there? That was the engine start switch clicking back to the auto position up top here, or normal position. I still cannot get it set up on the 777 so that the sound doesn't cut out every time I switch screens. Once the engines are running, you'll hear the sound still. It's just a little quieter. It's kind of weird. Anyway, let's start engine number 2. Left click to start. There's the N2 coming up. Go ahead and move the fuel control to run.
Set parking brakes.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Alright, and that's a feature you can turn off. I just always leave it on. So notice we've got the notification says fuel in center. I'll turn those pumps on once the engines are running, but what I'm going to do is break away for now, and I'll be back shortly, and we'll take care of our after start before taxi checklist.
Unlocking gear.
Alrighty folks, we've confirmed a good engine start here, and we're going to jump into our before taxi.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
What just happened? What was that? We just got a bunch of notices here. No land 3, hydraulic. Because I'm an idiot. Okay. There's a reason those weren't on, and that's what I was about to tell you. And I was in such a hurry to get pushed back again that I forgot to turn them on before the start. Oh, so frustrating. Alright, give those a minute to come together here.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Okay, we're all clear. That's good. Okay, let me tell you what happened here. So, I already recorded this portion once before. We pushed back, engines were started, and we were getting ready to do our flight controls check, and none of my flight controls were working. And I didn't notice what was going on at first, so I went into FSUI PC to see why they weren't mapped, and then I realized that my yoke was not on. It wasn't getting any power. So I paused the video, I unplugged it, plugged it back in, power would come on for a couple seconds, power would go back off. Anyway, long story short, I had to restart the computer. No idea what was going on with it. So basically, most everything is set up the way that we had it, except that obviously I forgot to turn on the hydraulics, and a couple of other things. The keen observer would have already noticed that our altitude is now set to 310, and I believe it was 330 before, and that our MCP speed is set to 172, where it was set to, I think, I don't remember. Maybe it was the same before, but I'm pretty positive the altitude is different. Anyway, the point is that there's a couple of minor differences here. I'm a little frustrated because I have no idea why that happened. I had to unplug like, I don't know, 10 or 15 different. I got so many things plugged into this computer. Honestly, I'm not surprised it happened. I just don't know why it happened. Everything was fine, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. So let's go ahead and let's take care of our before taxi checklist here. Now that I've got the hydraulics turned on and we're not getting any warnings. That was just stupid of me. Left and right generator control switches are on and the lights are off. APU selector switch needs to go off at this point. We can stop burning that fuel. Engine start selectors are both to normal. Left and right pack control switches are auto with the lights off. Engine bleed air switches are on with the lights off. We need to set the flaps at this point, which is going to be flaps 15. This is actually what helped me realize it, because I was trying to do the trim and it wasn't working. I was like, what the heck? And then I was saying something and I thought, well, we'll just set the flaps real quick, and the flaps wouldn't set either. And then that's when I realized that the light that comes on my yoke wasn't on. And I was like, what the heck? So anyway, let's take care of that trim real quick while we're here, and we can do our flight controls check because we're going to need to do that as well. So trim needs to be, I don't even know. Oh, I went back to this page, that's why. 4.75, so that is different as well. Even though I put in the same weight, the same fuel, everything, it was 3.75 before, it's 4.7 now, and I believe it was like 162 was V2 before, and now it's, I didn't go back and look, but either way, it's obviously there's some differences. So alright, but they're working now. So full left, full right, and neutral, and then all the way up, all the way down, and neutral, and then on the rudder, full left, full right, and neutral. And I'm just double checking, making sure A-cards is running, because if I forgot that, that'd just be one more problem to deal with. What else we got here? Flaps are set, stabilizer trim is set to 4.75, and let's put this on the engines page. Recall switch pressed, no warnings. Wing and engine anti-ice is on auto. Taxi light needs to come on, which is this one, and we'll take these guys, turn the, oh, I had the wing lights on already. We never did our lights test, did we? So lights are working though, not surprisingly. It's a simulator. Turn that back off. What else we got here? Runway turn off lights, those are good. That takes care of our after start and before taxi checklist. Alrighty, let's get the track IR coming on here. Little jump, big jump, whatever. Brakes coming off. On the upside, it did get rid of the whatever was causing it to show the flight was partway through already. Interestingly enough, as I went to shut things down, I noticed the same issue on A cars. So I suspect that whatever it was that made my yoke cut out was causing other issues as well, which is, it's pretty crazy. Just sometimes the things that happen with a computer are just, they manage to boggle your mind a little bit, don't they? Anyway, everything else is the same. Obviously, that's the cabin being ready. Obviously, our takeoff speeds are a little different. Our initial altitude is different. I don't know why. Like I said, I put in the exact same weight that we put in before. So it doesn't make sense to me that we'd have different takeoff speeds and our initial altitude would be 2,000 feet lower. It just doesn't make sense. Look at this. We're missing part of our taxiway here. Don't you just love default? You know, that's something, you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that works out in Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I'm really curious to see how they deal, or how they dealt with, you know, terrain and stuff like that. So I bought the, I pre-ordered the Super Deluxe or whatever it's called version. So that's the one that gives you the most with it. It's got a bunch of different aircraft. Unfortunately, I was disappointed to see that the majority of the aircraft that are coming with that flight simulator are, you know, they're small. They're kind of light aircraft. There's a 747 8i. There's a 787-10. There's an A321 or 320 Neo. So there's a few decent tube liners in there, but that appears to be just about it. I'd have to look at the list again. And then there's quite a few airports that are supposed to be really well done. So, for example, San Francisco is one of them. This actually is one of them. SBGL, Rio de Janeiro. So, I think it's 20 or 30. I don't remember. I'm sure you guys know by now, especially by the time you see this video. But yesterday was the announcement, so I'm recording this video the day after they announced the release date of August 18th, and hopefully that doesn't change between now and the time you see this video. But the point I'm getting at is you guys will already be quite familiar with what is being released with what, but I'm really curious to see how they dealt with, you know, so these additional airfields, or they're not additional, but they're basically supposed to be well done or well rendered airfields. Unlike FSX when it released, or P3D when it released, they were just everything, you know, it was all kind of, what's the right word? It was just default, right? So these are supposed to be like the quality of an add-on airfield is what we're supposed to see in these. So I'm curious to see how that is. I'm also really curious to see the aircraft. So we all know that the default aircraft in FSX, well, let's just say that if you don't have add-on aircraft, you're not getting the flying experience from, say, a 737 that you want, if you want realism. That doesn't mean you can't fly them. They're flyable aircraft, but anyway, the point being, I'm curious to see how they deal with that stuff, see how it looks, that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm just really curious. I really am. So that doesn't mean we're going to stop flying P3D. We got a lot invested in this, and we'll continue flying P3D probably for several years to come. But depending on how things go, not only with the initial release of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, but also add-on content, we may see Microsoft Flight Simulator become our default or our go-to simulator. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that works out. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and finish this taxi out here, guys. When we get to the hold short point, we'll come back on, we'll take care of our before takeoff stuff, and then off we go. Alrighty folks, there's no traffic directly inbound at the moment. We do have one guy, it looks like, up there in the pattern. We're going to get on the runway and hopefully out of here before we get in his way. Let's get these landing lights on, maybe. Let's get the strobe light on, dome light off. There we go. And we'll take her straight out on the runway here. Boy, it is dark on this flight deck right now, isn't it? Let's bring up the master brightness a little bit. Alright, take her straight out on the runway, and once we get out there, and we probably turn our lights and stuff on a little early, but it's kind of hard not to when you got to look up there to do it, and you can't be, you know, in the actual flight deck, you can put your fingers on, you can look at it, put your fingers on it, and then look back where you're going, right? Slow her down just a little here as we come onto the runway. That might have been a bit too much. Let's go ahead and start the clock here. There we go. And once we get lined up, we'll take care of this before takeoff checklist really quick. A little bit further. We should have plenty of runway to work with, so that's good. Swing her around. Nice and tight. Might have gone a little too far. We'll see here in a second. Actually, I think we're probably pretty good. Gonna be pretty close.
On runway 28.
Alright, let's take a look at our before takeoff checklist here. Landing lights are on. Yeah, we undercut it just a little. Strobe lights are on. Auto throttle is armed. LNAV and VNAV are both armed. Traffic mode is on. TARA. Weather radar coming on. And the clock has been started. Let me just adjust in my seat here a little bit. Oh, come on. There we go. Alright, let's bring the thrust up. Bring it up a little above 50%. Let it stabilize. There we go. Release the brakes and thrust ref. And we can easily center up as we start our roll here. There we go. And away we go, folks. There's 80 knots. I don't know why we're getting multiple calls.
B2.
Rotate.
I turned off the first officer calls because I keep getting multiple calls, but for some reason I'm still getting them. Positive rate of climb gear coming up. Just watching that flight director there. We can go to, no, we'll stay where we're at on the flaps, make that turn.
Gear up.
Alright. Just trying to stay with the flight director there. There's the thrust reduction altitude. Get the nose down a little. Little nose down trim to help us out. The flight director's kind of bouncing around on us, isn't it? Look at that. Barely move it and then all of a sudden it's way over there. That's kind of obnoxious. Doing alright though. Just follow it as close as we can. A little more nose down trim here. Sometimes I really feel like the trim isn't working when I use it. It drives me nuts. A little more. Yeah, see, like the nose just, I'm holding the down trim right now, and the nose just doesn't seem to want to drop. It'll drop as soon as I change flaps here. Flaps 5. See now, I don't know. Maybe it's just me flying this thing, but I always feel like I'm fighting with the trim a little bit. You guys ever feel that way with this aircraft? It just feels like it doesn't trim very well. Now I'm not saying the real 777 doesn't, but it really just feels like this one doesn't. I fight with it a lot on approach too, just trying to get the nose to sit where I want it. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and bring the flaps up, or flaps 1. I mean, sorry. Not quite ready to go flaps up yet. There again, now all of a sudden she wants to just climb, but the speed's not increasing, it's decreasing. So if the speed's decreasing, why is the nose coming up? And then I give it a ton of nose down trim and it doesn't trim down, and then all of a sudden it does. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird. Now the nose is going to drop as we turn, we know that. There we go, come around the corner there a little bit. Trying to keep it from dropping too fast. You don't want that nose to just dive on you, you know what I mean? Okay, let's go ahead and get the flaps all the way up now. See, look, she's descending. I followed the flight director into a descent. What is the point in that? Those kind of things are frustrating. And now it wants me to climb, you know, like crazy climb, and it's trying to nosedive on me even while I'm holding it back, like I'm fighting it. Look, as soon as I get it where it should be, it wants me to bring the nose down again. Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that. Like, it wants me to bring the nose lower than it is right now. We're climbing at about 100 feet per minute. Why would I bring the nose down lower than that? I'm climbing out. See, there it is going into a descent again. I'm not doing that. I don't understand that. Alright, let's go ahead and get the autopilot on. Not really sure what's going on with that. See, now, as soon as I bring the autopilot in, it starts climbing at almost 1,000 feet per minute, and it wants to stay there. You guys see what I'm talking about? That's a little strange to me. It's probably me. I'm quite certain it is me, but I don't know. A little frustrating at times. Let's go ahead and get the track IR coming off. There we go. And let's get that dome light on so we can see a little bit. I think I'm mostly just frustrated because of having to restart the computer, to be quite honest with you. Let's take care of our after takeoff checklist. Landing gear is up. Auto brakes are off. Once we get above 10,000, like we're right at transition altitude right now. It just seems to be struggling to get. Why is it so low? What is this saying? At or above 6,000, but that's not on. Oh yeah, that's on there, but we're above 6,000, and then it's at or. Oh, I'm an idiot. I wonder if you guys noticed it while I gave the brief. It's at or below 7,000 at Utnop. At or below 7,000. My bad. Boy, I messed that one up good, huh? Got to pay more attention to what I'm doing. I guess I got too much of a hurry. Alright, seatbelt signs will stay on. Transition altitude will set standard. We could set standard right now. We're at 7,000. So I'm just going to go ahead and set it to standard. And then it should stay at or below 7,000. It'll probably just hold right there. Oh, now it's trying to go down because it hasn't crossed that waypoint. You see that? That's why it was having me. Oh, boy. That's my bad right there, guys. I messed that one up. So I do apologize for that. But anyway, gear up. Yeah, gear up, flaps up. Auto brakes off, spoilers off. Yep, we're good. That takes care of the after takeoff checklist, and that means, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to spend a little time flying at this altitude, and then we will have that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty, folks, we're just a little bit over 150 nautical miles from top of descent. As always, we've got a little bit of homework to do here before we can get the aircraft headed on down. So, first things first, let's take a look at our descent checklist. On the FMC, we need to verify the arrival and the approach. We've already gone ahead and selected those. It's going to be the ILS 27 right approach using the Roxo 1H arrival, and we'll be briefing those here momentarily. Jump back up here. Flight instruments, they're set for now except for the altitude. Now I'm going to hop over here for just a second because I forgot to double check on altitude restrictions. So at Hazel we need to be at flight level 130 or 13,000. So we're going to go ahead and scroll this down to 13,000, and then I'll make an adjustment along the way. So that's going to be our altitude for the moment. Okay, moving on. Transition altitude, and I forgot to check that. I bet money it's either 5,000 or 6,000 here, right? It is 6,000. So if you hop down here, go to your VNav, go to page 3, forecast, and then right here put in 6,000. There it is. Put it in there. Now our transition level is set to 6,000. We can request a forecast, descent forecast as well, so we'll let it request that while we continue on with the checklist. Wing and engine anti-ice is auto as needed. Recall switch needs to be pushed. Now, when I push this, you're going to see this says passenger oxygen on. Yes, the passenger oxygen is on. The reason the passenger oxygen is on befuddles me. I've had more issues on this flight than I think I've ever had. Well, certainly that I've had since building this computer. I mean, it's just been one strange issue after another. To include the fact when I was getting ready to come on here and do this briefing right here, my microphone stopped working, and so I had to unplug it and plug it back in. Thank the good Lord I did not have to like shut everything down. You can restart a flight from a save point with our A cars, but I just didn't want to mess with that. So I'm glad things are working, and yeah. So we got to get this on the ground, and then I need to go through and there's a couple things I think I know what might be causing some of the issues, so I'm going to get those squared away. But anyway, moving on. Auto brake as required. So looking at, it's going to be runway 27 right for us, 12,802 feet. I don't think we're going to need any auto brake for that. Landing data, VREF and minimum, so we haven't done that yet. So we hop down here, go to initial reference, and it's going to be a flaps 25, 143 knots for us. It's quick, but that's not super fast. So, and we've got so much runway to work with, I think we're going to be fine. So flaps 25, 143, and then that takes us up to our arrival and approach briefings. So let me grab these and bring them over here for you. There we go. Looking at Sim Toolkit Pro once again, and we're going to be taking the Roxo 1H or Roxog 1H arrival today. The ATIS is going to be on 13.750 or 15.1 or 28.080. Any one of those three should work fine for ATIS. During periods of congestion, which this technically would be, we're going to turn traffic off as we get closer to the approach for a couple of reasons, not the least of which is this scenery is so hard on the frame rates anyway. But nonetheless, during periods of congestion, traffic may be routed via OCK1Z as directed by ATC, not for flight planning purposes. Speed is max 250 knots below flight level 100. Well, there's a hiccup. Below flight level 100 or 10,000 feet unless otherwise authorized. We're going to come in out here at Roxog, and then it's down to Amtod, little right turn 029 degrees to Begto or Beg2. And then another little right to 033 down to Hazel. That's where we set our current altitude on the MCP at 13,000 feet. That's a hard altitude. That's why it's got a line above and below. Then a right turn 048 degrees down to LLS01, max 250 knots. Then just another degree to the right there to OCK, and then that's going to take us from there onto the approach. Just a quick note, if we had to hold, the holding for OCK is inbound at 329 degrees, outbound at 149 degrees. It's a right-hand pattern. So if we had to hold there, we would actually cross over OCK, we would make a right turn, and then we would try to intercept this 149 degree radial. Well, we wouldn't try, that's what we do. And then once we'd intercepted that, we would make a right turn to 329 and then we'd start our racetrack. Okay, moving on to the approach. It's going to be the ILS 27 right approach. The wind is basically calm, 2 knots, variable at 2 knots. So again, ATIS on 13.750, Heathrow approach or director on 19.730, tower on 18.505 or 705, and then hand off to ground on one of these 3 frequencies. Localizer frequency is 110.3 with a final approach course of 270 degrees. Glide slope intercept 4 nautical miles from IRR at 1,410 feet. The weather is not too shabby. We'll have a little bit of some broken clouds and whatnot, but we should be okay for a Cat 1 ILS. For a missed approach, climb straight ahead when passing 1,580 feet or when crossing over IRR, whichever is later. You make a climbing right turn on track 316 to 3,000 feet, then as directed. And then if there's a radio failure, you have to pull a different chart for that. Looking at our plan view here, basically we're going to be coming in off this side over here. We'll be swinging around right-hand turn to this 7.5 right here, 7.5 nautical miles out there. We're going to try and intercept the localizer and maybe the glide slope, depending on how that goes. But glide slope intercept is technically here at 4 nautical miles out. And you can see on the profile view here how that works. So this is our initial approach fix. 4 miles out is our final approach fix, and we need to be at 1,410 feet there, 2,500 feet here. Pretty straightforward. Pappy lights on the left hand side, and I still need to go and look up. I did a little research on what all the lights, the different light configurations are in the US, but I need to do it for Europe as well. Cat 1 decision altitude 278 feet. Alright, fantastic. So there we have it. Let's get a couple things set up here. First of all, decision altitude. It's going to be on the barrel, 278 feet. On down. There we go, 278 feet on the barrel. That's our decision altitude. And I'm just going to double check the weather here real quick. But my active sky is being a little weird. At least the connection with Sim Toolkit Pro, it seems to be acting a little strange. So right now, now it refreshed. It just takes forever to refresh right now, I guess. So right now it's saying the wind is 3205 knots. Visibility is basically unlimited. Scattered clouds at 3,000 feet. Expecting winds to be 3205 on landing. 27 left, 27 right. Now, I will note for Heathrow, my brain doesn't totally want to work right now. For Heathrow, they will default to 27 left and right unless the wind is significant in the opposite direction. So when the wind is light and variable up to, I believe it's up to 5 knots, and they still use, even if it's a tailwind, they use 27 left, 27 right. Not sure why that is, but that's what they do. Okay, what else we need to do here? I think that is it. We've got our decision altitude set. Oh, I do want to verify real quick. Let's go into the FMC nav radio, just verify 110.30/270. That is our localizer frequency and our course heading. We do want to make sure those are in there. And other than that, we should be on the descent here a little less than 100 nautical miles there. Hopefully everything goes smoothly. We don't have any additional issues, and we can finish up this flight, call it done and dusted. So I will see you guys back on here momentarily when we're getting close to the approach. Alright guys, we're just across OCK here. I was just taking a quick look at where we're going to be parking. Got it set up with GSX a little early here, which should be nice. And you can see how the approach is going to work here. We're going to be swinging around to the left and lining up for final on the runway. Now, one thing I do remember about coming in here to London, they don't like you to slow down any sooner than you have to. It is one of the busiest airports in the world, so it's not particularly surprising. So we're going to pretty much we'll come in with our first setting of flaps right as we're about to start this turn here, and basically we're going to try and get configured depending on how the speed and stuff goes. I'd like to try and yeah, we'll start actually as we cross 074, so in about 4 miles we'll bring in the first setting of flaps, and I'd like to try and get configured about the time we get to CI27 right. we'll see how that works out for us. Let's take a look at our before landing checklist here. Below 10,000 feet, the landing lights are on. Speed brakes need to be armed. We may end up using those to help us slow down as we come in here, so we might have to rearm them. Just make sure the seatbelt sign is still on. It's on auto, so it works out nicely. And then the altimeters, which is at 6,000 feet, so about another 500 feet to go here, and then we'll be changing the altimeters to I believe it's 1016. I already preset it on there. You can see it on this one. Yeah, it's 1016. That's the altimeter, or the QNH, as we say over here in Europe, right? Why do we call it an altimeter in the US and we call it QNH over here? I wonder why that is. Okay, we just crossed there, so let's go ahead and bring in that first setting of flaps. And that should require us to slow down a little more as well. See how that works. Or maybe not. It's just saying drag required. Next setting of flaps coming in. And yeah, we're going to need to go ahead and use the drag there. So let's do that. And there's our transition altitude. Click on that. That'll help out a little bit. There we go. And as we're coming around the turn here, you see it's still holding 220 knots. It's programmed to do that because they want you to come in so quick. So let's take a look at our legs here real quick just to see. Yeah, it's 220 all the way around the corner pretty much. So I think we're going to need to slow it down here. Let's bring it down to 200. Just because, I mean, we're going to be coming in quick otherwise, right? Just double checking. I had to make sure the recording was going over here. I've had so many issues, it's ridiculous. We do have AI traffic turned off. However, this area is just so heavy on the frame rates that our frame rates are going to be down a little bit. There's not going to be really much we can do about it. So, just something to keep in mind. Let's get the spoilers all the way out here, slow us down a little bit more. And once we start coming around the corner here, we'll arm that localizer. And let's just double check. We're going to be flaps 25, 142, so it's going to be 147 on the MCP. And we'll maintain 200 as we come around the corner here. You can see we're just a little above the glide slope right now. Hopefully that settles down a little bit here shortly. Nice view of London there as we come in. Nowhere near as many actual 3D buildings as exist. London's quite the city. I've never been there though. I'd like to go there sometime. I know there's a few of you out there, either you're from London or you're from the area somewhere nearby. Be curious to know a little bit about what it's like there if you feel like sharing it down in the comments. Grab the localizer immediately. Let's go ahead and hit the approach switch, and let's bring this speed on down, and the cabin is ready. Let's arm those spoilers now. Let's get the landing gear down, and let's go to flaps 15. And again, it's 147 we're going to be looking for on here, so that landing gear should help out quite a bit with with our drag there. We need it, that's for sure.
Gear down.
And there's the airfield in sight there. And we can bring this down to the flaps 15 speed here. Let's put it at 165 for the moment. We'll hold that just a little bit longer here. Once we grab the glide slope, we need to remember to set that go around altitude at 3,000 feet. Let's go ahead and hop over here and take care of our checklist. So the only thing left to do is the flaps. Can't check it off, so we'll just that checklist checks itself. You see the frame rates, they're just absolutely atrocious. I don't know what it is coming into this airfield, but I've got the AI traffic turned off right now. I mean, it's just, it's harsh. So, I mean, I've got the draw distance at max probably. I mean, I could have lowered that, I guess would have made a bit of a difference, but it is what it is. A little late for that. Just waiting to intercept the glide slope here. Should be any second now. There it is. Glide slope intercept. Put this at 3,000.
2,500.
Let's go ahead and bring in that next setting of flaps. And again, we're looking for 147 here. There's flaps 20 and coming to flaps 25. Get to the proper view. Tracker coming on a little jump. or a big funky looking jump, depending on how you like it. Just waiting on flaps 25 to come all the way in there. It's been a little bouncy, and then it doesn't help that it's choppy on top of it. And by choppy, I mean the frame rates are choppy. We got a 12 knot. It looks like that wind changed up a bit. It's 12 knots, dropping down to 11. It's hard to say what that wind is doing right now. I just took a weather report right before we got into this approach, and it was holding steady, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it goes here. Alright, looking pretty good here. Let's go ahead and kick off the autopilot. There we go. Let the auto throttle do its thing. Fly her on in. Try and keep her around 850 feet per second on the descent. I always feel like I'm fighting with this particular airplane to maintain altitude. I really do. Or to maintain a specific rate of descent. But we're holding pretty good now. See the nose come over like that? I don't know why it does that, but it dropped all the way down to 1,050 per minute. And I don't like that. So now I gotta come up to about 650, 600-ish. Get back on that glide slope. We are visual at this point. The wind just disappeared on us. I'm sure that had something to do with it. See how we're pointing to the right there, but she's right of the runway now. Alright. There we go. Back on glide slope there. Looking pretty good. And we should be descending at about 850 feet per minute. So that's where we want to be. Frame rates are holding around 20, so it's not the worst I've seen, that's for sure. And at this point I'm visual. I'm just trying to keep that sight picture rather than just rather than chasing the feet per minute. Just try to keep the threshold of the runway at about the same spot in the windscreen there. There, she's a little low, just a little.
500.
That'll bring her up nicely right there. Yeah, we're right on the glide slope, so even though the PAPI lights are saying we're low, we're gonna be too high here in 2 shakes of a pickle.
300.
Just keep her pointed right there.
Minimum.
200.
Continue.
100. 50. 30. 20. 30. 10. 20.
Settle. Oh, that was butter. That was butter, guys. Just waiting for that reverse to come in there. Nice. There's 80 knots. Take the reverse out, and we can let off those brakes at 30. Very, very nice. That was a good landing. Minus right around 90 feet per minute. So our frame rates are holding a little bit. That's good. I won't bring in... oh, so much for frame rates holding, huh? I was going to say I won't bring in AI traffic because I don't want the frame rates to drop off on us, but then they dropped off on us anyway. Alright, let's get strobe light off. These 3 here can come off, and let's start the APU. And then we'll get her up around the corner here, and where are we at? It's not telling me where we're at. I know we need to go back the other way though. Oh, that chopping, look at that. All the way down to 13. Come on. You know what? I gotta be honest. I've reached the point. Yeah. I don't like this scenery. I don't like it. It's an absolute friggin' shame. Absolute shame that I'm getting 12 frames a second everywhere else we've been flying. I fly into San Francisco with the traffic on, right? And it's far more detailed than what I've got up on here right now with the AI traffic on, and I'm getting 30 frames a second, 28 frames a second, and I'm at 12, 11 frames a second here right now. Absolute freaking garbage, in my opinion. Absolute freaking trash, and I don't like this scenery. Honestly, I don't. It's, you know what? in my opinion, shame on you, UK 2000, that you cannot optimize this scenery at this point. P3D version 4.5, and you can't optimize this scenery so that I get better than frickin' 12. Look at this. I can't do anything. Ugh. That's what I think of it. Ugh. You know? Ugh. Absolute ridiculousness. Alright. Let's take care of our after landing checklist here. Landing lights are off, strobe lights are off, taxi lights are on. APU selector switch is on, wing and engine anti-ice is off, auto brake is off, we didn't even use it, speed brakes are down, flaps are up, transponder mode can go to standby. It's this guy here, if we can even get down and say, oh look, I can get 30 something frames a second down there, but as soon as I want to look at the scenery, nope, back to 11 frames a second. Absolute freaking trash. Weather radar coming off, and I'll see you guys when we're ready to park and shut things down. Maybe we'll actually get a couple of decent frame rates then. Alrighty folks, we found our parking spot here. Let's go ahead and get these taxi lights off. I mean, it's almost impossible to move, but yeah, whatever. Look at how bad that is. I even cranked down the auto gen draw distance, and it gave me 2 frames per second. That's what I got out of it. 2 additional frames per second. That's just pathetic in my opinion. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a YouTuber. Let's see. Doesn't this uses the parking system up top or whatever, right? Which I have no idea how to use, to be honest with you. Is it even working? Probably not. No. Alright. Well, let's see how close we can get it there. Why isn't there a marshaller here? Or something to guide me in? I'm guessing it's right about... here. It says stop. Maybe I got it wrong. Oh, I just passed it. Look at that. I went to the 747 instead. Oh well, I'm staying where I'm at. Track iron coming off, little jump here. There we go. Let's see if we're even able to move around in this thing. Ugh, what a nightmare. It's an absolute freaking joke. Alright, let's double check, make sure the APU is running. Shows that it's good up there. Let's check it on the status page here. Yep, it's good. Let's go ahead and turn the engines off. Let's put GSX to work. Deboarding. Come down here. Go to our doors page. FS actions, doors. I mean, are they going to use the jetway? I don't think no, it says no jetways here, because that makes sense. Alright, well, we'll just open all 4 doors then. There we go, and then we'll open the cargo. And I know that the seatbelt signs are on auto, but we'll go ahead and just put them to the off position anyway. And what else? You know what? Let's do the ground connections real quick. Set the wheel chocks, connect, and then we'll take care of those here in a moment. The other thing I want to do right now is I want to take care of ACARS. Bring this over here, stop the flight. Minus 98.43 on the landing rate. That's pretty darn good, especially for the frame rates the way they were. 12 hours, 57 minutes was our total flight time. Overall, not bad. I don't know why this was set to 100,000 feet. Let me tell you, this flight was an absolute pain in the butt, you guys. It really was. Let's file the PIREP. There we go. Close this out. Absolutely. Jump up here and let's take a look at our shutdown checklist. Parking brake is set. Taxi light is off. Left and right engine fuel control switches are cut off. Seatbelt signs are off. Beacon light needs to go off. That's this guy here. Wing lights can go off as well. C1 and C2 air demand hydraulic pump selectors. That is these 2 here. Those go off. And then left selector goes off. And then these 2 go off. And then right selector goes off. I don't know if there's a reason for that order or not. Left and right fuel pump switches can all come off. There we go. Flight director switches are already off and APU selector as needed. Let's turn the external power on. APU off. And just to take a look here, how much fuel do we have left? We have 18 and 18, so 36.7 total. So that's not bad. More than I think we were originally scheduled to have, right? We did hit a lot of headwinds on this one, but in the end, it worked out nicely. So that takes care of our shutdown checklist. We're not going to do the secure checklist, so that means that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the flight. I certainly did, despite some of the issues that I was having. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on. I think I know at least one of the problems I'm having, what's causing it. So hopefully I'll be able to get that situated probably tomorrow. I'm not going to do it tonight. It's pretty late for me. But other than that, I did have a good time with the flight. It really is a shame that coming into this scenery is so hard on your freaking frame rates, because you know what? This is a popular airport, and it's one that we'd like to spend a lot of time flying in and out of over here in Europe, and I just feel like we're missing some opportunities because I don't really like to fly in here because it's so hard on the frame rates. You know what I mean? So that's a real shame. But other than that, you know what? It was a really good flight. And I really do hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you haven't already done so, please take the opportunity to smash the subscribe button. We're just about at 8,500. I'm hoping to get to 10,000 by the end of the year and do some sort of giveaway. Don't know what it's going to be yet. Maybe it'll be a copy of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Something to think about. Also, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That lets me know that I'm doing a good job. And if you didn't like it, well, you can always give it a thumbs down. But if you're going to do that, please put some type of kind but constructive comments or criticism down in the comments section so that I can do a better job in the future. That's it. That's all and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all and have an absolutely wonderful day.